One time we're gonna stand up, stand up. One time we're gonna stand up, stand up. Shout out loud. One time we're gonna stand up, stand up. One time we're gonna stand up, stand up. Shout out loud.
Hey, Uche Power Tribe, Bala Mau Power here, the Golden Mike from the North, and you are joining me on Powerverse, episode 17. And here we are broadcasting from Gimui country. Before we continue, I'd like to show respect and acknowledgement to the traditional custodian of this beautiful land we call Tropical Far North Queensland, in particular Cairns. And I want to welcome you from wherever you are tuning in from. And this is Powerverse. If you're new to the program, this is the podcast where we invite inspirationally empowering people from communities, arts, business, and all around Australia to join us and having conversations about what's been happening in their world. And my guest today, my very special guest, Naukutai, my small brother, Brother Chris Tamwoy. He is joining me all the way from Brisbane City, coming up here to grace us here at the table to have a yarn about what's been happening in his world. Bala, welcome.
Yes, sir. Good to be here.
So before we, can I get you to put the mic closer to the bro?
Yo.
Before we start, I always like to ask if our guests can introduce them cultural way, proper, so our viewers and listeners out there can get a context of who you are.
All right. Saungapa, Mayam. My name is Chris Tamwoy. I'm from Badu. I'm from Boigo, and I'm from Dunley. And I stop in Brisbane. And before I proceed today, I'd like to acknowledge traditional owners of this land and pay my deepest respects to the elders that are past, present, and emerging.
Thank you very much for coming here, man. So most people don't, for those who don't know, Chris, we'll get to understand that you're an entertainer, a performer, a community worker and advocate. You wear multiple hats. A young inspirational brother from the Torres Straits, grew up in Brisbane, and we first Australia first got the taste of you through the art of music, and that's your passion, right? Music is your love, your first passion.
100%.
So how did you come into music?
I've always loved music since I was a kid. I discovered that when I used to sing the songs on the ads, like the Sakata biscuit ad, I'd sing along, play school, to the point where I'd even sing neighbors, just singing that part. And I just thought to myself, wow, I love singing. And then when I first came across a guitar, that's when I began to become fascinated with the instrument. And I started playing drums first, and then I started playing guitar. And then, just through believing within myself that I can do it, here I am today.
Yes. There's some great achievements that you have achieved on your journey. But I want to, before I go into that journey, I want to go back. Young Chris, take us to young Chris's life.
100%. Was born in Brisbane, or in Caboolture, and then spent most of my early childhood in Brisbane, doing primary school, until my akka, my grandmother, made the decision that she wanted to move back home to Badu. So I came home from school one afternoon and got told to pack all of my clothes because we were going on a big plane. So I was like, awesome. And I love planes. I'm obsessed with planes. So she put her wording right to bribe me into this trip. And before I knew it, we got off the plane in Cairns Airport and waited for a couple more hours before we were on a propellered plane to Horn Island, where the water was very blue. Blue like I've never seen in my life. And we waited for one more plane, and then we got to Badu Island. And when we got there, and then my grandmother had told me, this is where you are from. And that's when the birth of music started for me. When I would once I went into school, my school teacher, Mr. Peters, Dick Peters.
Oh, yeah.
He would start every morning off with singing to the class.
Too good.
And these are songs like Torshadam, the hymns, Torshadam, the like dance songs, and we'd start our days off with singing one or two songs and then end with one or two songs in the afternoon. And I think he was my teacher for like 2-3 years. So it was like after 6 months of me being in the first year, I built up the courage to ask if I could play his guitar one day. And he was a bit, like worried I might break a string or something. And I said, oh, just give me a chance, please. Like, I just want to learn. So I began to learn. Unfortunately, my finger muscle wasn't there because I was only 9 years old. And then by the time come to grade 5, we had a grade 5 song for our class, which was only like 4 or 5 chords. And we'd play that every day to rehearse to play at the end of year parade, the grade 5 parade. So I ended up learning that song, and then I asked Mr. Peters one morning if I could play the guitar for this, like when we were going to rehearse. And he said to me, all right, if you think you're big, play. So he passed me the guitar, and I played the song. And he smiled and was pretty surprised that I could play the song. And then from there I built up, gained his respect and trust, and was able to play the guitar at any time I wanted at school, providing that I'd finished my schoolwork first, or else no guitar.
That's a great incentive to be able to say, okay, you finish your schoolwork and then you can play the guitar.
Yo.
Sad.
Yo.
But I want to paint the picture now for everybody who's tuning in and watching this right now. Torres Strait, Bardo Island lifestyle. Not many people get to experience what it is out in community, in particular island life, and growing up immersed in culture. You as a young boy come from big city, brought back up homelands, and then reconnected to this. What did it do for you? And give people that experience. What were you immersed in?
So if I could put it in the most simplest form, when you wake up in the morning, you grab your phone, and then you use it throughout the day, taking photos, watching videos, calls and text messages. Your phone eventually goes flat by the minute. So eventually you get to a point where you then need to, you are notified by your phone that it is at the final 20% before it goes flat. If you do not charge it within this time, the phone goes completely dead. And it's in those critical 20%, that time frame where you need to make a decision to find the nearest power point to connect your phone so that you can then gain more power. And when I'm feeling like this is how I am when it comes to the Torres Strait and my connection with my people in my home. I go back home to recharge, but I go back home to like a sponge and sponge everything in. And that's from as simple as just sitting with my elders and just listening to their stories. Sometimes we don't talk about music, we just they talk about their young days. They always going on about how easy we have it in our life. And I heard that all my life until the last 3 years I really came to understand what they meant by that. And that gave me a very different perspective on the life I live today and how easy we really do have it. But there are some things that still stand that are challenging for us in this generation. But heading back home and being amongst my people allows me to recharge, gain more power so that I have more energy to be able to do what I need to do without being, back home. But using that energy that I recharge from back home to go out here and make waves and break down barriers and create opportunities for my younger cousins so that they're able to, do what they want to do in life.
Too good. And some of the things that you got up to, being there when you grew up on island, some of the activities that you were engaged in, what were some of those?
A lot of things. Hobbies were sports. Sports is big, touch footy and basketball.
Football culture.
Football culture. Everyone wants to be Matty Bowen, everyone wants to be Jonathan Thurston.
I always say, they ask me, I say, what religion they practice up in the Torres Strait? I say, football.
Football. They will literally stop a cultural initiation for Island of Origin to commence that weekend. So don't be surprised if you don't reach manhood that weekend, because you will be told to man up on the football field.
I mean this in a good way. Like, I understand,
in a good way.
Because that's the warrior mindset, right?
100%. No, but I think just, like football growing up, basketball. My big thing was music. So I got told to go and help my uncle one afternoon, go and do dump runs at his house, empty out all the stuff in the backyard. And by the time he went into the spare room, he told me to grab the guitar that was in the corner plus a basket of clothes to chuck in the ute because we were going to take it to the dump. And I looked at the guitar, and the guitar looked like it was still in good condition. And then I asked him, Uncle, like, how come you're chucking your guitar away? And he said to me, like, meaning like that's not my stuff. Like it isn't mine. So I said to him, well, can I have it? And he goes, well, take it. It's rubbish to me. I said, all right, then, well, I'm gonna have it. So I took that guitar after doing the dump run, and went back home and asked my school teacher the next day if he could show me how to put strings on a guitar. I got A's that semester, which resulted in a packet of strings, which my school teacher bought. So he restrung that guitar for me, and that was those strings lasted me 3 years. And that's because I would play every day, but to a certain extent, because I knew if I broke a string, I had no, like my grandmother and grandfather don't know anything about it. They only know when to tell me to be quiet because I always kept playing the guitar. But yeah, afternoons consisted of finishing school, going to Acapola's house to buy 50 cents icy cups and salty plum and kulsi. And then if you didn't make it there, you would then proceed to Atemanto's house or the Tamwoy residence to grab mangoes, half ripe, and eat that on the way to the wharf and then go fishing. And then it was a competition then who would catch the biggest fish out of the boys. And then whoever caught the biggest fish or the most fish, that was then the talk of the town at school next day. I was like, oh, did you hear Chris caught 2 fish? Oh, so I caught a bigger one than you. This 9-year-old goss.
Yes, that's what it is. And then, pretty similar island lifestyle. I love it. Like, even now when I go back up, my first thing I do is jump in the dinghy guard and just either float there, because there's the serenity that you're disconnected from everything and you just reconnected to the environment that you come from.
100%.
And I love that feeling. And, I know even more so in this last few years, I've introduced cultural values and knowledge from the upbringing into my business world or into my practices. For instance, I remember the responsibility of giving. When I was 5, about 5, 6, I went down to the wharf. I caught my first fish. All my first fishes, all the trevally, whitefish.
Yep.
Take it home, and my akka at that time, my grandmother told me, she was proud that I went down and caught this fish by myself. Told me, take this fish, go give it for that elder that stayed on the corner, a traditional owner, but then Narupai. I can remember my name, and I went and just gave it to her. I didn't ask the questions why. So gave it to her when I come back. When I got back, she said, you will have thousands of blessings. And then the afternoon, all the markers will bring a damper come now, bless the house with food. And then that was the context where I understood that as now a responsible young boy, I can provide, therefore I should give. And those are some of the small things that I've learned along with my practices. I want to hear from your upbringing if there were any of these things that you've learned or experienced along the way that is instilled with you now.
I completely get where you're coming from, and that's a great question. The power of giving, we are taught that it is better to give than to receive, and as often as this occurs, it does drain us, and we do go through a wave of challenges, mixed emotions, because giving isn't just about recognizing that this person has asked you for some fish, or recognizing that they are in want of something. Sometimes when you give without looking, you actually provide the smallest fish that you give is the biggest blessing for that household. And giving to provide for family, especially as a young man, or your responsibilities as a man is to always provide for your family, and the act of giving might go unnoticed within your immediate family, but your extended family will see that as a sign that he is capable of providing for his family, and giving and taking making sacrifices and taking risks just to provide for his family. And I think one of those, that same act has grown with me and still installed within me today, because I still make the opportunity to spend time with my elders by giving back to them. For example, like when I have the time, when I go back home, like one of my grandfathers is a big darts player. He loves playing darts, so I try to give back in a way where, because I live on the mainland where there's more resources for such as darts. I take darts back so that he's able to play darts every afternoon. Simple things as little flags or something. So just being able to give back for my elders that have bent down backwards and have walked different challenges compared to me, and just giving them back.
It's interesting that you say that, because even in that context, giving doesn't have to be materialistic.
Yes.
It can be a such thing as giving time and sharing
100%,
time. Like
yes.
I said, when you walk on the island, I say, hey, come sit and have a cup of tea, let's yarn.
Yep.
And it's like catch up in that moment to be able to reconnect. That's just a giving and receiving reciprocal moment. Like what we do today. Last night you came in, landed like midnight, sit down, and we sat down and shared together, because we haven't seen each other for a while since this COVID. So it's that type of act of giving that I think has become, there's been a misunderstanding where it's always an expectation of materialistic stuff, where it doesn't have to be. And like I follow a lot of spiritual enlightened people, and I remember someone that I came across, such a profound guy, Deepak Chopra. He even says that when you go and visit someone, never visit anyone without a gift. But that
100%.
gift doesn't have to be anything profound. Like it can be simple as a flower or a blessing. But when you come with that gift, and that's the art of giving, I believe.
100%. We're in tertiary and the custom, we are taught to always, when there's dinner at someone's house, always to take something to add to the table, even if they are catering for the night. It's important. Like, for example, if they're putting on a meal, bring the drinks. Buy some soft drinks and some water and juices on the way through, and just being able to accommodate and being a helping hand. But when we're also talking about give, it doesn't necessarily mean materialistic things. Time is also another thing, but knowledge as well.
Absolutely.
Knowledge is passing down knowledge to someone and giving them the understanding from right and wrong, and then leading them. I think with giving comes guidance, and I think that is one of the key elements in life to help to influence an individual so that they are able to be successful young people when they are older.
Absolutely. Just as it was given to us, we must pass it on. The way of the culture, that's the cycle of it. You acquire knowledge to pass on. There's no use to take the library, go down with you when you go down.
100%. How much we take, we must also give. And I think that is the circle of life.
That is
100%.
I hear from Uncle Marcus Pedro. He said something so profound to me one time when he was doing a youth workshop up in the islands. He said this, saying to me, my boy, I want to live full but die empty. That means I will acquire all the knowledge and I will leave it before I go. And that stuck with me. It made a lot of, it really made a lot of sense. It was so powerful that I never forgot it.
I've got goosebumps just hearing that.
But I will stay on this topic because it's I think, a really core discussion, because there is the giving, but then there's the expected or expectation of giving, which there's a catch-22, right? There's a balance between it, I think. And we had this conversation deeply last night, and things that we go through, being that in our fields and doing the works that I believe there has come to a point where, people just sort of expect you to give. Or have this inbuilt, inbuilt psychology with them that there's, and it's passed down to generational, inheritance from different aspects, I believe, from introduction of different cultures that influences our culture. We could talk from colonization to now, that I think that there's an expectation that you give. Like I can understand from a hunter's perspective. So I was initiated, through your family to be able to go hunt, catch, provide. And then you provide and you give to a community or people where, who are elders or people who can't go out and do that stuff for them. And then there are people who are capable but still expect you to give to them. And if you don't, then it begins the lateral violence line.
100%.
And that stuff we were talking. I want to talk about a bit of your perspective on that.
Yes, It's a tough conversation.
It is.
And he like small another kind, but the whole expectance of giving, it's an everyday challenge.
It is.
And I feel like the thing is, it's like the analogy I'm trying to tackle is, when you're sitting in a plane's job is to go up, and when you're going up, the pressure becomes greater.
Absolutely.
And I feel like in life, even when we're down here on earth, the more higher we get in life with being successful, and successful doesn't necessarily mean being a musician and then playing on stage in front of a camera and a round of applause. You know, success can also be like the quiet man in the back of the room that's just bought his first house or made a deposit.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
100%.
You know, and then like they've made a deposit. What is next? He still needs to pay it off.
Yes.
So he needs to work every day to still pay his house off. So just because he's bought the house and secured it, it is not officially his. He still needs to work to pay that off. So the response that people get is the fact that, oh, well, he's rich, he's bought a house. Yeah, like that's awesome.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
Or the fact that, oh, this person's appeared on television, he is rich, or he has a lot of money. We're humans. We all go through the same, mate. We go through
Challenges,
the same
emotions,
challenges. Yes,
everything.
we get tired. You know,
Absolutely.
we get hungry. You know,
Yeah.
we're not always gonna eat salads. We might want KFC too. You know.
Yeah.
And so if you're happy to find us, and there's probably a reason why, and it could be because of the nights before. But anyways, but you know, it's just the mentality of feeling that, like I just feel like when I need to go to birthday parties these days, I can't attend as an uncle or as a godfather. Well, godfather's different because I'm very sensitive on the subject godfather, but as an uncle or just a family relative, you know, I feel like I've always got to bring something. And I think that's because it's still installed within me to always provide, because that's our custom. But I'm talking about from a professional perspective where oh, you know, he's coming, he's going to provide. So, yeah, having that mentality, it needs to be erased because we're all trying to support each other here. And I'd rather be supported, like, in a sense that people are happy that a brother is moving up in the world rather than trying to push them down, you know, because, yeah, the only time you should be, you know, putting your hand down is when you're trying to lift them up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I feel like that's something that I've had to challenge.
Well, I'll be more direct and more straightforward because I've had this my whole career.
Yeah.
You know, you get certain points, you reach a plateau, and then all of a sudden, you get asked, "Can you give me money?"
Yeah.
Like, this is straight up. I'm not gonna lie about it. Like, I'm not sugarcoat it because I've dealt with this too much in my life. The calls that I get is only calls when you want to need something.
100%.
And then when I don't, you think you're too good for us now. Like, it's just what it is. I'm like, but I'm the same. Yeah, boy, I just worked harder to be able to achieve the points that I have. Yeah. And that type of thing perpetuates a line of lateral violence now that causes division within families. Like, I love you, but you have to understand that I can't just keep on giving. There's the 1, 2, 3. When it becomes an expectation, then it becomes a problem.
Yep.
And that causes divide. So that's where I'm coming from with this.
I completely agree where you're coming from, and I think one of the biggest things that I've taken away from that is, and come to understand now that I'm in my mid-20s, most people don't want to be part of the process; they just want to be a part of the outcome. And I think
I like that.
I've had to really like take, not a gamble, but I had to take a step back and work out. When I say gamble, I had to take people as they are to see where I really stand.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's been a tough challenge, but I think, you know, I've made progress. I'm a million light years ahead of where I was, you know, many years ago. But just the thought of like saying no, why does that then have to lead on to being told that I may be too good for you? Or why do I need, or like, you know, or if I have a conversation of venting normal human, everyday challenges, because I'm not a robot. I'm not a, whatever they call immortal people these days. I'm just human trying to vent about everyday problems. For example, red light stopping me. Just like, man, I'm sorry I'm late. I got caught up. Every red light decided to stop me today. This is a common problem that every human being that has their driver's license today or not faces. And the fact that I could vent such little things then results in a conversation or a question at the end of the conversation asking me of something.
Absolutely.
Or asking for money. And I feel like, okay, well, I didn't know that I needed to pay for your time.
Yes.
So, and then like when I go quiet, then people go, oh, what's going on? Are you a bit depressed? Or, I could be. But the thing is, like, I just don't know how to have a conversation with you without knowing that you're going to bill me later on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a hard conversation to have, but it's a real
100%.
one. And, I bring this out because, in all open honesty, this is what this podcast is about.
100%.
Bringing these things to light and seeing that we all go through the same journey. And the outcome of overcoming it is what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
I mean, out of all this stuff, I've learned exactly what you did. Just put things in perspective and know how to love people from afar and know where I'm able to be a part of people's lives. The hardest thing is to say no.
100%.
Because of the response that you get. But once you understand the value of saying no, and this applies not only with this same art of giving, that means in everything from business world and everything. When you say no, it increases the respect and value in it, hopefully, in the end.
100%.
Because the ultimate outcome is mental well-being, right?
Yeah.
That stuff really plays with us as people. Yeah, I mean, I'm talking all people, and brothers and sisters of us in our world go through it really heavy as well, because we try to fight against this stigma about it.
Yeah.
And it's hard when it comes from our own people.
Well, it's more than hard. It's like a brick wall.
But in saying that, look, I wouldn't trade this journey in for anything. It's a part of the process.
Yeah.
But I love what you said. People what they want to be part of the outcome, not the process, and it's the process which
where it counts.
Yes,
where it counts.
I hope this conversation shows that there is a process to what we do. I mean, this is not an overnight thing.
100%.
It's everything that we're committed to.
Yeah, and I feel like it's just like with someone studying in university, don't celebrate the day when they come in with their big black hat and that scarf around their neck and get presented with that piece of paper. Even though that piece of paper is life-changing, I want you to celebrate the fact that he or she or they got up in the morning to make that 8 o'clock bus to be at their lecture by 9. Celebrate the fact that they made it on time, or celebrate the fact that they've missed your 19th birthday or your 20th birthday, but they made your 21st birthday. Just be grateful that because they've had a 4-year study and that they finally graduated. Celebrate the fact that they've taken the day off because they need to study, because they're taking care of themselves.
Absolutely.
So, that's why I don't really celebrate my birthday too many times, because I know my brothers and sisters have a lot going on in their lives.
Absolutely.
And for the fact that, like, the best response is if I have an event and they message me and tell me that they can't make it because they're on baby duties or daddy or mommy duties. That's when I said, well done, I'm proud of you, and that's awesome. Just, I'll see you around.
Too good.
Just keep
Too
at
good.
it.
And that much respect to, people go through university and long studies because they, like us as, are in business and in creative arts, do it with really low budgets and, really try to make things work. They get
100%.
creative with it. So hard striving, and then that's what we should be celebrating. I like the way you
100%.
put that.
Yeah, celebrate the little things.
The little things.
It's the little things that make the big picture.
That's too good. Yeah, but I want to touch just a little bit before we're going to head into some positive directions.
Yes.
But I just want to bring this out into the open now. Like, when we're talking about that mental well-being,
Yes.
the emotional well-being, based on things that we've experienced from lateral violence. I mean, look, we go through it. I have moments in my life that I could pick out that I have had, a mind crash. Where it's like I had to stop and like say, nah, I can't see past this. There's a clouded vision, and going through those processes, these things add to it, and it's hard to have those conversations. And hopefully, forums like this, platforms like this, we're able to talk about it and just put it out there, because I know there's 1,000 people, 100,000 people from all our communities are going through the same thing in this very, very moment.
100%.
So what's your thought about that, bro?
I just feel like with the challenges that we're facing right now, and you know we're in a global pandemic, so let's celebrate the fact that we've survived. All right, we've survived a global pandemic, and we've survived even if we were 1.5 meters apart or not. You know, or if you didn't use hand sanitizer or not. You know, I think there's a lot of issues that are going around in this world, well, especially within the indigenous communities, but I don't think there has been any sign of people giving up, and they're fighting for what they believe in. They're fighting for what they believe should happen. They're fighting for what they believe should stand strong, and what's been passed down from generation to generation.
Too good. Well, let's lighten this up now. We're going to take it another direction, but I love perspectives, man. I love speaking to someone that's being able to talk about these things.
100%.
Now, the world of music.
Yo.
When was the choice that you knew that this was going to be it? I'm going to do this professionally.
When I was 17, so I was grade 12. When I was 17, it was one of the darkest times in my life. You know, I just got expelled from school. And
you too?
I did. Yep, got expelled from school. Near 2 weeks, I got expelled on the last day of term 1. So I had 2 weeks holidays to make a big decision in my life whether I was going to throw away 17 years of or 12 years of education, when I can complete that within 6-7 months, or I'm going to go and get a full-time job and just start working. So I made a decision to go back to school and just worked hard, and I had a principal, Matt O'Henlon, Mr. O'Henlon, who strongly believed with what my passion was with music, but like wanting to finish school and education as well. So when I had got the call that I'd passed all my assessments and I got the green light to go to formal, I went to formal, and then the next day the principal, something significant was happening at our school which they needed an ABC interview done by our principal, and they had asked if the producer from ABC asked if they could speak with one of the students. So Mr. O'Hanlon thought of me to come along and perform as well. So he shouted breakfast that morning, and we were at some fancy cafe talking with Steve Austin from ABC, and Steve then asked, well, can you play a bit of guitar for us? And I started playing guitar, and I'm playing on national radio this morning. So I just had my formal last night. I've just woken up and now I'm on radio the next day. So I kind of felt like a bit of a superstar. Yeah, because I just won like comedian of the class the night before at our formal. So it was pretty cool. So I felt like I was like in my Chris Tucker vibes. So I started.
Jamon, man.
Yeah, Jamon Lee, Jamon Pat. Yeah. So I was on that high, just in full positivity, and once I received like a lot of likes on my page, because I got told to make a page during the year to reach out, I got like something like 1,000 likes that same day. So I was like, wow, this is pretty awesome. Like people like, oh, well done, Chris, or wow, we'd love to see you perform live. Oh, can someone tell me where this kid's performing next? That was one of the comments. And I thought to myself, well, I'm just at a cafe. I just played on radio. Like, well, why do you want to know where I'm performing next? Like, I don't even know what I'm doing next. I just had my, like, how are you going to comment that on my page? And it was at that moment I realized that, okay, music, this is something that I'm using to express my emotions, and to really connect with other people. So I started to work more on my guitaring, and 2 years later I had composed my first song, and started singing. I sounded like a horse at first, but it gradually got better, and I'm still learning as I sit here today. And it was at that moment that I realized that this is something that I really enjoy, and this is something that I can have a lot of drive in working towards achieving goals.
Wow, that's a profound, like, I would call them crucible moments, man. There's a point that you got expelled, and then you made a pivotal choice to go back and really put it hard. Like, this is what I want to articulate and get across now to our listeners out there. Like, in that moment, there's one thing where you can just accept what it is and go, or you can really stay focused and say, okay, let's do this again. Let's see where we can go. And the outcome was that, being expelled, to making that choice, to being asked by your principal to be the student or
Come
ABC.
speak
Like,
on radio.
who knows what outcomes comes from your decisions, right?
100%. And I think even under the greatest pressure, you know, you've got to make critical decisions. But sometimes you've got to think about yourself, because at the end of the day, all you've got is yourself. And I think, you know, after having a tough, you know, 6-7 months of you know, going up and down with dealing with stuff within my community at that time, and personal issues, I still made a wise decision to follow my heart and complete Year 12. And one of the greatest moments in my life, I think, was just walking on stage to grab my Year 12 certificate and just having that photo with my principal. I was like, wow, like, it's actually done, and seeing my name on that piece of paper to certify I've completed it.
Too good. And while we were talking about processes, I just want to articulate, because I had another podcast with another young brother, Ernest Beckley. He finished and completed his course in mechanical engineering at university this year. And another brother from TI on Horn Island grew up and, you know, going through the journey. But he talked about he failed like twice, and then realized that, you know, so, you know, that he had to really lock down and put in the work, and then really focus in on that achieving. And I guess where I'm going with this is for people to understand that failure is a part of the process.
100%.
We will fail more times than we succeed, and most people don't see that part.
You have to fail. You have to make mistakes. These are the things that you need to get a grip of, because they are the things that will highlight where you're going wrong. You know, Success is failure after failure without the loss of enthusiasm, and having to make sure that you are switched on. When you fail, that's awesome. That's great. You know why? Because you're going to come back doing it 10 times stronger the next time. And when you fail again, you're going to be in the mindset of giving up, but then you're going to want to give it another shot. Once you do it again, and this time you're through, it's like the wind that you breathe out in that moment is the same wind. That's the excess amount of pressure that you are releasing into the air that signifies that you are finally there. Like getting to the top of the mountain, and after all of that push, and then once you get into the top, you're just like, wow.
Yeah, what a relief.
It's a relief.
Exhilarating.
100%. And you've just know, if there's someone out there that's successful, that's never failed or never made a mistake, I want to know what vaccine or what planet other than Earth you come from. Because man, if Albert Einstein was still alive today, that'd be the first thing I'd ask him.
Well, the Edison, you know, the light bulb, the invention of the light bulb.
Yeah.
You know, the story goes, you know, it failed 9,999 times, almost 10,000 times before he found the light bulb. And when asked the question, why would you go through 9,999 times, you know, doing this process when you were failing? You know, he just turned around and said, no, look, I just found 9,999 ways on how not to make the light bulb.
100%. 100%. Man.
Now, let's go
that.
back to the music stuff. Now. So this is it, the click, the career. This is what you want to do. Now, I want to articulate, you have an unorthodox style of playing.
Yes.
You know, and what inspired that? Like, we're going to show a little clip at the end of this, you know, one of the clips that you're playing this particular way. But there's the conventional way people play guitars, and then you have this other form where you actually lay it down and play. Like, what inspired that?
Just sounds. So it's I play the guitar on my lap like a slide guitar, almost like a piano. And I don't use any musical utensils like a slider or anything. Everything's just pure natural through my fingers. I think the fact that I could drum, and that was the first instrument, because when it comes to timing and keeping a beat, I'm able to do that naturally. So I am very percussive in the way I play and strum the guitar, and creating sounds and harmonics, as you will see in the video clip.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, my greatest inspirations are many people. But I think it's, you know, my childhood heroes are both John Mayer and John Butler of the John Butler Trio.
Yes, of course, I see him.
And just having the opportunity to listen to their music and being influenced heavily by them, they've taken me to where I am today. Yeah, and I'm still being inspired every day.
Too good. Now you start out your journey, you know, you got into music after, you know, this great experience, you know, from the ABC News. What happened after that? Like, how did you get, like, what did you do to actually get into the game?
I did a few little voluntary performances where I was asked to perform at events, and I did that for about 6 months up until I turned 18. And then after I did that, I was asked to play on this, I even still till this day, I don't know what it is, but it's one of the, all I know is that it's where entrepreneurs come to deliver the birthing of their ideas. So I was asked to perform at TEDx Brisbane.
Oh, wow.
And I went there in my, so I just received a traineeship that same week. And my starting day was that Thursday. So I said to the producer of the show, I said, I can come to perform at your show, but I have to go to work. So I'm only like, you know, I just turned 18, so I don't know how to communicate in emails. I had to make an email account that year. So I didn't even know how to write. Like, they were so professional in how they delivered their email to me. So I did the performance in my work uniform, and didn't know what the room consisted of, but I just, you know, there was amazing minded people there, and that had a global reach. And they were recording it. Obviously, they record all of their acts.
Yeah.
And that had a bit of a global reach, and that started a following, and that then got into the hands of Lindsay, the doctor at Triple J. So Triple J then called me and asked if I was able to do an interview with the doctor, and I said, yeah, no worries. So you know, I waited that afternoon for the phone call the week after, and then once I jumped on Triple J to speak and perform, I had to go into the ABC studios in Brisbane, and that's when everything kind of took off for me. You know, Triple J it's a platform for many young talents that have come through, you know, that are trending today and that are superstars and geniuses. And talking with the doctor that afternoon, that led to more of a following, and then a lot of people from within the music industry then approached me to perform. And then that led to me performing the following year. And mind you, when I say perform, I only had 4 songs by this point.
Yeah.
And that's 3 instrumentals and the song I composed, my first song that I wrote, which was Ngau Lag.
Yes, yeah. What year was this?
2014.
2014, yeah.
Yeah, and that's when I played Blues Festival
Wow.
at Byron Bay. And when I went there, I literally performed, and I was like rubbing shoulders with some of the greatest musicians there.
Yeah, that's a great. You met Kendrick Lamar right there.
Yes,
I remember seeing that photo.
Yeah.
Snap! When I was watching that, I'm like, damn, you met Kendrick. This is Kendrick. You just after what album?
He just released To Pimp a Butterfly.
To Pimp a Butterfly.
And then he was currently recording this latest album, DNA, or whatever it's called. Humble? Or
No, DNA.
DNA, yeah.
Yeah.
So that led to, a lot of opportunities and meeting a lot of A-list celebrities during that time and collaborating. So that was 2014 Blues Fest. That led to me playing Port Fairy Folk Festival, my first ever interstate festival.
Yep.
Oh, actually, Blues Fest is New South Wales. So, you consider Sydney, we're all on this coast, yeah. So I went across, played Port Fairy in 2015. 2015, I was approached to perform on Australia's Got Talent, which I took the opportunity to, and I came second in 2016 on that series, and then
don't move from that. That was because we watched the video for that, and performing in front of the panel. I know there was Jack Black there. Was it
Sophie Monk, Eddie Perfect,
Ian Dixon, and just the.
Kelly Osbourne.
I thought it was Kelly Osbourne.
Purple hair.
Yes, and just the response to your performances, especially the one we did, we saw. Yeah, what was that experience?
It was nerve-wracking because, throughout the whole experience, but through every performance, like I was just as nervous going on stage as coming off stage, because it's national television, but when you perform at a festival, your judgment comes from the crowd's interaction. So if you get a standing ovation or a bunch of people clapping and whistling loud, then you've done a pretty good job.
Yes.
But you're actually going to get judged now on national television, so that's when you're taking it a step up from where you normally are. So got a standing ovation from my audition, and every performance from then on up until the decider. And in the decider, we had a special guest, Jack Black, who was in Australia at that time for one of premiering one of his movies. Sorry, I don't know how to say that.
Rock? No.
Kung Fu Panda.
Kung Fu Panda. Love Kung Fu Panda. He was
a special guest on the judging panel, and he had approached me shortly after my performance, and just had a few words to say, and had popped a special type of lemonade with me, to share. So we shared. It comes in a glass form, starts with the letter C, and it's kind of similar to the current virus going around called Corona. But he's a great bloke. Had a great time, and he just kept telling me to keep following my dreams, and that music will always be there to save me at the end of the day, and he's told me that 4 years on, I'm about to go into the 5th year. I'm going through some stuff, and music is still saving me in the very moment.
Wow.
Yeah.
Shout out Jack Black.
Shout out to Jack
We're
Black.
gonna get you on this program as well.
100%.
And leading up to all this time, getting up there to Australia's Got Talent, you were predominantly unmanaged.
Yep.
Independent.
100%.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Coming into the industry, pretty much learning everything grassroots, no guidance, like there's no mentors around yet.
100%.
Wow, that's something profound, being able to get to that point.
I was, I knew my lack of knowledge was like next to nil when I was questioned by one of the greats, Charlie Musselwhite, who played the harmonica on all of Cyndi Lauper's stuff, Whitney Houston, Bobby Brown. And he just asked me, so where are you from, young man? And I just said to him, like, where I was from. And then he asked me about music, like, what have I recorded? And I didn't record anything at that time. Yeah. I just told him I have 4 songs that I'm performing on the small stage tomorrow if you're interested in coming. And he actually came. Wow. But at this point, I didn't know who he was. I just knew that he was Charlie, and this was the guy I was doing an interview with. So typical me, went on Google that afternoon and Googled who he was, and I just thought to myself, wow. Like, I was in the presence of royalty. Yeah. And then the story just goes on. I could keep going. Yeah.
So let's keep going on. So Australia's Got Talent. Then what after that?
That was 2016, 2017, my first international trip.
This is the one I want to get to, right?
So I had just finished, and Australia's Got Talent, and then an email come through during 2016, or it was 2015, I did a NAIDOC performance for airline company Qantas. Yes. And the deputy CEO was in attendance that day and had asked me in 2015, so prior to Australia's Got Talent, if I'd be interested to go back and perform, at the opening of one of their new aircrafts in a couple of years' time. And I think at that time they were going to bring out the Dreamliners, which is the replacing the big 747 jet. Anyways, I said to him, I'd love to. I'm obsessed with planes. My dream job, if I was going to be a musician, is to become a pilot.
Wait. Yeah. It started out from a plane flying to the island. It's now back to a plane.
100%. Yep. And I just I always obsessed with planes. And I said to him, look, I think I was more excited about just seeing the plane, and not my performance. I was happy to do what I had to do, but just to be. All I wanted to do was, I didn't care about the fee. I just wanted to get a photo in the cockpit. Yeah. So I said, if you want me to come and perform, you just need to guarantee that that's going to happen. And he goes, oh, mate, you just looked at me like, oh, is that all you want? Yeah, mate, I grew up on an island. I don't have that much expectations. So that led to, that NAIDOC performance seen by the deputy CEO, they had seen, they gave me a shout out on Twitter, actually. Qantas gave me a shout out on Twitter, congratulating me on my finals appearance on Australia's Got Talent. few months later, I was asked to open up the G'day USA Gala dinner in Los Angeles.
That one.
And Qantas said we'd pay for everything, just come along and perform, and we just love to link you up with a lot of people. And I said to them, okay, me being me, don't know anything about these events. I went back on Google and do my research, and I was so excited about the trip. Business class over to LA, and one of the greatest events of my life.
Good Day USA. That's a pinnacle over in the for Australian representation.
Yes,
in the US
States.
in Los Angeles. And when I knew of it maybe a couple of years before I seen you on there, and I was really like, damn, this is the place we really need to get to. And then I saw you over there. I'm like, my boy is over there. It's so good. Torres Strait represent.
100%. And I had to go in there representing for our people. 100%.
Yeah.
Red carpet event. So I had to bring the colors of the green and blue.
That's it. I seen it there. And like, who are the people you meet? You know, what feedback that you get from the Australians, the expats over there?
It was a standing ovation when I opened up the event. But what really struck with me was, I was in the room with the likes of Chris Hemsworth. At that time, Liam and Miley were just seen, so I met Miley Cyrus that night as well. And I met like pretty much the whole Prison Break cast.
Okay.
And LL Cool J, he was in the room.
Snap. Okay.
Keith
Urban. The GOAT.
So Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman were getting inducted into their Hall of Fame, so the awards Hall of Fame. So they were there that night as well. And Keith actually was the first person to come. He left his seat to come around backstage to congratulate me on the performance and ask me who I was. And I just said to him, I'm from the same place where you grew up, Caboolture, because I was born there. And he's like, oh, wow. He goes, I thought you were African-American. I said to him, well, you wouldn't hear an accent as fluent as that around here, or a black man with curly hair, that's for sure. But there was, the likes of them. But what struck me the most was, the most iconic Australian man had come up to me backstage and told me that I'd represented Australia in a way he'd never seen before, and, really represented Torres Strait. And that was Paul Hogan.
Wow.
He came up, Crocodile Dundee.
Mick Dundee himself.
100%. Like, he came up and he was fascinated with my Torres Strait Islander beads, which I ended up giving to him. Because I just said to him, because he kept asking me, he'd left me after talking to me and then come back and was holding onto the beads, talking about it to his mate. And then I said to him, this is my gift to you, like the colors of my people. And then he took that and he's like, thank you very much, young man. I said, I don't expect anything from you, just a handshake so I know that I shook your hand.
Incredible. 100%. If I was there, I'd be like, hey, Mick, we need to do another Crocodile Dundee from NT all the way up to the Torres Strait.
100%. We'll take you from the people where they call it Baru to where they call it Kadal.
Kadal, we'll take it right there. Because it's all totems, man.
100%. Yo.
Oh, no, too good.
Yeah.
Wow. Mick Dundee, shook your hand.
That was the most and we I'm not wanting to name drop, but these are the people that attend the events. But I was on the same table as John Travolta. He was sitting opposite me.
I think I remember. I see the photo of that.
Yeah, and that was amazing people.
Saturday Night Fever.
Entrepreneurs. He was there. What's the song that him and Olivia sing? How's it go?
Summer Lovin'.
Summer, I had the song. I was listening to it this morning. Anyways, but you'll know what I'm talking about. But yeah, it was a great moment. I had a great time. Yes, that's it. Yeah. Choop, choop, choop. That song, yeah.
I just got the grease, mega mix going in my head at the moment.
Oh man, no, he's a great person, John. He's and we spoke about planes because he's a pilot. So our conversation was definitely
because he bought a Qantas plane, right? He has one.
Did.
Yeah.
I just asked him because he has a runway at the back of his house, and I was just like,
what?
Okay.
Did say that again?
So I said to him, what do you do on your days off? Because I know that you have a busy schedule. And then he goes to me, I just fly my plane. I said, so I'm guessing do you fly out of LAX airport? And he goes, no, I have my own airport at my house. He said that his backyard, he has an airstrip in which he parked that same Qantas plane at. In fact, I'm pretty sure he flew the plane that day to LA from wherever he was filming another movie. Yeah, so I don't know what movie that was, but if he's released one in the last 5 years, that's probably it. Yeah.
Incredible. But this just goes to, okay, I have to put it in perspective to everyone. Okay. Expelled after first term, came back, introduced the music at the end of that year, all the way over to Good Day USA.
100%.
I mean, the journey, you never know where it takes you. It's about choices, right?
And it's about believing in yourself. I think that's one of the greatest things that I've taken away and stuck with, is always believing in yourself, because you are your number one fan. You're your greatest believer. If two people are going to tell you can't do it, but you know you can do it, and you do it, that one person will always overwrite the other two people's opinion. And I think I've definitely proved that in my life so far.
Absolutely. I made it a principle never to live by anybody else's opinion or judgment. Like, nobody can understand your capability. They can have opinions from their perspectives. Maybe it's because of their limitations, but unless you know what you're capable of. 100%. And that's what it's about. And all right, so Good Day USA happened. What happened after that? Because we're going to lead into your album.
Yep. I started writing. So I just was so inspired by it, because during that time I was in America. I had did a fair few traveling and ended up in Hawaii as well, doing stuff with Jack Johnson.
Oh wow!
And just that whole 2 weeks of being away from the country, with musical people, like and not just artists, but like managers as well, and representations of musical acts, that inspired me to write. So when I came back to Australia, I knew that the last 3 years at that time for me was crazy. I've just gone from 0 to 100 pretty much. So I wanted to write and put everything into perspective. So that birthed the release of my, the writing for my album. And now, as we sit here today, I'm about to release my album in 2021. Which I'm very much looking forward to.
We're going to have you on here the day of release.
100%.
I'm flying you up and you're sitting here. We're going to talk about it the day.
John Travolta's plane will bring me here. To Cairns International Airport.
Hey, John, come over and pick me up.
But yeah, 100%. Definitely gonna make it happen. But I've had the opportunity to collaborate with a lot of people ever since in the lead up to writing my album. One of my latest collaborations was with Colin Hay of Men at Work. Doing a few of his songs down in Sydney and opening the Invictus Games 2 years ago, the closing ceremony of the Invictus Games. And I think the greatest motivation, because I was at a turning point of just not wanting to do my album at that time, and then having the words from His Royal Highness Prince Harry, who is the co-founder of Invictus Games, and his wife Megan, just being in their presence and being able to share, it was only 20 minutes, but that sparked the motivation that, hey.
Wait there, you spoke with them for 20 minutes?
I spoke with them 20 minutes after Invictus Games, and like in Sydney.
Yeah.
So I'd been invited to perform there, but during that time, it was mid-year, and I was going through I just didn't know what I was doing with my life. I just finished writing my album. I was 6 months away from recording it, and I felt a lot of pressure, and it was that the motivation of the fact that I'm going through a lot of stuff, but I'm standing in the presence of a prince and his wife, and this should be able to give me a sign that I need to keep going, because there's going to be more opportunities like this to come, and it's through music that's going to save me. So I went into the studio 6 months after that, recorded my album. Now it's ready for release, and I just can't wait to release it. And I just cannot wait to write more music.
Fantastic.
Yep.
That's amazing, man, hearing your story and your journey coming through, Small Island Boy, all the way right through, having these great moments. And I can also attest and say that, because I know you as my brother, every time I'm around you, I feel more enriched in life and in laughter and just, great moments. That those people that we admire, that met you, I'm sure you blessed them with that same gift that they left there, like, blessing Paul Hogan with the beads from our nation. I mean, that's something that we don't just give away anything.
100%.
Just that easy. And it blessed them that time. I don't think they will forget that moment.
The blessing of giving.
That's it. There we go again. The
100%. Giving away beads to the man who who pretty much paints the picture of Australia still till this day.
Still till this day.
So I just, but I think I just want to take the minute and time to really like give the thanks and throwbacks to and shout outs to my older brothers like yourself. We're both artists in our own right, and we both have a business mind perspective and also change. We're passionate about change with our people, but I would just want to take the time that even despite all of that happening, you still maintain that role as a big brother to always, give me advice when it's needed, and to always keep me in my lane, and to always remember that there is light at the end of the tunnel. And because you've had so much experience in this industry so far, you still give me that advice that yes, no, I was there once upon a time, this is what I did. And then there will come a time that this is what's going to happen. And so you've already walked the path that I'm currently walking, so you have the answers, but we're still learning every day. But that's why I'm grateful for my older brothers, and it's about just passing that knowledge down. And that's why the context of having our elders around, or our elderly brothers and sisters, that's why they play an important part in our lives, and that's what helps to mold us to become the people we are.
Biggest son, I'm grateful for that, and hearing your story is very inspirational. I'm sure our people that's going to be viewing this will be inspired by just your journey and the way you've carried yourself through. One last question, I have a couple last questions here, but this one is one that I really am fascinated about, because I've known you for pretty much, I've known you pretty much a long time throughout your life. And seeing you go through all this journey, you've still kept level-headed and grounded. Like, you're still the same Bala Chris that I know, that you never change. What is it that keeps you discentered and grounded? Like, there is no ego when you meet you. It's nothing but good laughs, good vibe, and just great times.
100%. I've met a lot of people in my life, and my uncles that have become successful in their life as well. And I think it's just humbleness. It's drilled. We're not taught. It's drilled into us. From simple as like Christmas presents or like catching fish. Just because you caught a bigger fish than your younger cousin doesn't make you a better hunter. Because both of those fish are gonna feed you and your family at home. No matter the size. So I think it just comes down to humbleness. Always being humble, and understanding that the greatest blessing is the fact that you woken up today. If you went to sleep last night and you still haven't woken up by this time today, you either had a big night or you're on a journey to another part of the next step in your life now. And so the blessing is the fact that you've opened your eyes today and being able to live. And I think that's what keeps me grounded, and appreciating. You've got to celebrate your little wins. As simple as being on a podcast with your older brother, like this is something I'll celebrate, the fact that I was able to share this moment because we created this moment as a memory, because this will then become a memory when we leave this room today. So always just to be humble, always to be grounded, and always staying true to who you are, and always holding your identity with pride, because you and I both share the same identity, so we all fall under that one umbrella. So that's what keeps us in our lane. So it's always taking pride where we come from. But the biggest thing is always connecting and talking with your elders, because they have all the answers. And I think that's what's kept me humble the most, is just bringing them up and finding out how they are. And, they'll tell me what they're proud of in my life, but then that's when I take that opportunity to vent to them that these are the problems that I'm going through. Can you please give me the answers? And then that's when they commence. And it's all of that put together keeps me in line and keeps me the Chris Tamwoy I am today. And no matter whether I meet another prince, or I meet the Queen from England, or whether I meet Donald Trump, I'll always still be the same person forever and ever until the day I die.
Too good. So much drills in that. Two more questions.
Yes.
One, I seen you dressed in your outfit here, man.
Yes.
Why is this? What's this attire? What's happening?
Am I being honest?
Being honest.
So one of our other brothers, shout out to Night Shift, shout out to Danny Barney. He's getting married this week. So he will be getting married, and it is the start of his bucks. So I've come dressed up, and just keen to go out and play a bit of golf, something different. and maybe jug out some lemonades.
Some lemonades.
Yeah, some
Now,
lemonades.
this is the interesting thing. I think the curious thing that I'm actually the frightening thing is what happens when you get a bunch of musicians together for a box party playing golf. This one's going to be interesting.
I don't know. The question is, will we even
wait,
last long?
The answer is you will never know.
You will never know. You will never know, because it is what it is, and it ain't what it ain't.
And that's it. Right, brother. It's a pleasure having you here. One more question I always ask everybody before they leave this discussion, this podcast, this table, is if you had one gem or one jewel, one piece of advice, one piece of knowledge that you want to give back to anybody out there tuning in that has carried you through your journey, that you believe that will empower them and they can take it and use it that they will, what would that be?
Always hang around the same species, because when you go to the beach or to an aquarium, you'll never see sharks hanging with crocs or snakes hanging with rats, because they always hang around their own species, their own type, their own kind. So you need to find those people that make you feel happy, or however they make you feel on the inside, where they bring out the good in you. Find those people and continue to stay with them, whether you're going to be a flock, whether you're going to be a herd, whether you're going to be a school. Make sure you stay with those people, your species, because that's who you are compatible with. If you venture off to take risks in life, you might just get eaten, or you might get taken by the other species.
Too good. I've never heard it like that, but I love it. So I'm going to stick to my own species.
100%. We are different species.
Hey, look, this has been a great conversation. There you have a brother, Chris Tamwoy, coming in here and blessing us with his time, giving us the gift of his knowledge, sharing his journey, and hope you have been inspired just as I have been. Wow, I got goosebumps just from the conversation. I'm super inspired, and I love being around this young brother. If you ever get a chance, go check out some of his, his works. And when his album drops, he's going to be here talking about that. We're going to have an exclusive drop right here at the Powerverse.
100%. Much love. God bless everyone. Stay blessed.
Well, this is Balamau Power here, the golden mic from the north. You know how we do it before we sign out. I want to let you guys know that we are about building a community of our same species. So follow us on Facebook. Subscribe to YouTube, like us, and subscribe to Patreon, where you can see all of our exclusive content, our cultural content, our live performances. We want to be able to build a community where we can share inspiring and empowering stories, and meet like-minded people who want to be on this journey, just like this brother next to me here. And I just look forward to engaging with more stories like this to deliver to you guys, and I hope you guys enjoyed this. Leave comments, like, share. I look forward to our conversations in the future and that yet to come. And that's it. Just follow us. And I want to leave it off, and you know how we sign off here at Powerverse. Stay inspired, stay empowered, and stay connected. That's all.